Hey, thanks so much for joining us this morning. This is the MDL 21 session on using Office 365 on mobile devices. It's all about the device itself, it's all about the workflows with the camera, with inking, with scanning. I really hope you enjoy this session. We're using a fair bit of video content in this one, but it's from previous sessions that we really liked, so we hope you enjoy it. There's kind of three big moments for me in terms of that workflow. And the first one is the integration of the camera and all that comes with the camera. So the ability to take photos, the ability to record yourself, switch the camera, record yourself, take a selfie, might have benefits. It certainly has benefits if you wish to talk to your pupils directly. Gives you a really easy way to record a quick video and then use the collaboration features in Office 365 to distribute that, share it with either colleagues or your class direct through Teams or, in shared OneDrive folders. So it's that camera bit for me that's really, really powerful. And it's what you don't get so much on a desktop. Now, yes, you can still share images into these apps from a laptop or a desktop, but because of the way the camera works, you can't do that kind of opening up the camera, taking a picture, taking a selfie. That's not so powerful. So I think that's one of the real main benefits of the iPad, and it's great to hear that some of you are kind of experimenting with that already, screenshots. I've done a lot today in this session. I had a brilliant little workflow going on last night where I was screen recording using the iPad's native screen recorder. I was struggling to get them to play as videos in PowerPoint Presenter, so I had to quickly turn them into a GIF. Used Canva for that, which is also integrated into Microsoft Teams. That gave me a really easy way to create a GIF, and the GIFs will play brilliantly in PowerPoint Presenter, which is what I'm using today. So if you're looking to do something like that, screen recording, make it into a GIF, turn it into a PowerPoint, bring it into a PowerPoint, becomes a really powerful tool. And that was just a discovery that I made along the way towards delivering this session. So camera and photos, very, very powerful workflow. I think what we do natively, if you think about it, with our mobile phones, we are forever using that functionality. And it's really, taking selfies, sharing them to Facebook, making TikTok videos. Anyone do that? It's, lots of people do. It's that kind of integration between your device's features, like the camera, and the ability to take video and selfie video, and then the ability to share that in your work, in your classroom work, to your pupils. So it's taking that thing that we're used to doing socially and then starting to do it as an educator, creating and sharing images and videos with colleagues and classes. One of the huge benefits that we're going to look at today. So I said there were three. The second of these huge benefits that I see and that I've been really playing around with over the last little while is inking. So if you don't know what inking is, it's basically the ability to draw on top of digital documents, photographs, screenshots. And this is, again, a really, really powerful benefit of the iPad when using Office 365. So obviously any touch device, we're not limiting this to the iPad. The Surface is equally brilliant at dealing with this kind of task. More and more touch devices coming. I know there's loads of Chromebooks coming this year that have got touch and cameras. So there's a new kind of shift, I think, where the mobile device and the laptop are kind of becoming closer together, perhaps, in functionality. And another thing we're going to look at on the iPad is the kind of split screen functionality that's just come out in the latest iOS release. So yeah, there's a kind of a productivity focus, I think. I think everyone in the app development world is focused on productivity and making things easier for us. So things that maybe a year or two ago might have been really difficult have now become really easy. I've got an Apple Pencil with my iPad, which is just fantastic for marking up work, marking up documents, very quickly making sketches. You know, when you think about inking, the ability to very quickly, you know, with your finger even, or with an Apple Pencil, just, you know, if you're a maths teacher, write some maths. If you're, you know, if you need to show the water cycle or photosynthesis, to quickly, I don't know how good your art is, mine might not be that great, but you could really quickly sketch a little diagram together with inking, you know, change the colours. You could, I'm sure some of you will be amazingly creative with this. But, you know, do those diagrams really quickly. Because I think, well, how would I have done that? How would I do that? You know, you would maybe do it on paper, take a photograph, put it somewhere. Great workflow, still works. But this ability to just edit things with a digital pen, ink onto a Word document, ink onto, you know, something you've scanned and through Lens and brought into your iPad, it is super, super powerful. And it's a great way to give feedback to learners. But most importantly, I think in this point is the speed. So yes, you could make diagrams, beautiful diagrams in, you know, apps like Canva or, you know, Adobe Illustrator if you want to be really fancy. You could do those designs there, but it'd take a long time. You'd have to build it, you know, you'd probably be really careful and fussy about your pixels and alignments, and maybe just sketching a quick drawing, sharing it with your class team. You know, you could turn it into a little screen recording, add your voice, really powerful. So inking for me is another huge benefit. And we're going to look a fair bit in the session about how that becomes available across these different apps. And the third one, and I've already touched on it, is Office Lens. So Office Lens has been around for a little while now. But what we're finding, and this is for me the most interesting bit, is that ability that Office Lens provides. So if you don't know what Office Lens is the ability, it offers you the chance to pick up your phone or your iPad and scan a paper document. And then it will turn that paper document into a digital image. We're going to look at this in more detail live on the iPad later in the session. But really powerful, you take something analog, something, you know, a piece of paper, because we're not suggesting that we're in the digital world all the time. There is still a role for paper. There's still a role for, you know, flip chart boards and whiteboards on walls and post-it notes. But being able to take those and being able to keep them and share them, you know, use them for evidence, share them with your class. You need to have them in a digital format to do that. So Office Lens is superb at dealing with that. You've got a scanner with you all the time, essentially, and you can scan documents, you can scan whiteboards. You know, if you meet someone at a conference, scan their business card, and you'll have a digital asset there that you can then, I mean, one of the things that kind of really startled me was that you could take, you know, a magazine page, we're going to show this later on in the session, scan it in Office Lens, it goes digital, so the text then becomes digital text that you can then play back in Immersive Reader. It's incredible, and it's something that's really, really exciting when we think about this whole workflow of the classroom, because, you know, we're not fully digital yet, and maybe, you know, perhaps we don't ever want to be. We always need paper and sketches, and it really helps with our cognitive kind of, you know, thought processes and learning process. So having those analog pieces, but being able to translate them and share them really easily in a digital format is just hugely, hugely powerful. Also the ability to share things with other people. So yeah, that's, for me, those are the three biggies. I'll just go through them again. The camera and photos, inking, digital inking, and Lens and the ability to scan and digitize things. So at this point, what we're going to talk about now is how we access Office 365, Microsoft 365 on the iPad. And I'm afraid the answer is not entirely straightforward, because there are different ways, like so many things. I mean, you know, this is the same in kind of web design and in anything we do digitally. We find that there are multiple different ways to do the same thing. And with the iPad and Microsoft 365, that is very true. And But you know, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. It just needs to be something that we understand and that we're able to tell colleagues about and to help them understand. I think in terms of access, the bottom line, the kind of main point I'd like to make about iPad is that if a mobile app exists, then it's the right way to access Office 365. And the reason for that is that the mobile app will have been made with mobile in mind. And that means, so I don't know if you've done any app development or looked at app development, but one of the, you know, if you look into app development platforms, what is very much part of the whole process of app development is interacting with the functionality of the device. So sending push notifications, accessing, you know, cameras, opening up the video player. These functions only exist on mobile devices. And again, I keep, you know, making this point really clear, but I think it's a really important point. That's when the magic really happens for me. When you take the kind of functionality of the mobile device and the real benefits of it, like camera, ability to scan, that's when the real magic happens. And so the message is, you know, not every Microsoft 365 app, and when I say app, I mean, you know, piece of the toolkit, app that you'd find in your waffle online, you know, app in the whole suite of tools. So not every one of those apps has an iOS app. And that's just something we have to learn. Things are becoming easier, so more of the apps now have iOS apps, dedicated iOS apps, but not every one of them. But remember, this is a cloud-based service. The iPad comes with Safari as its standard browser. Many of you will have Chrome. I would really recommend for Microsoft, I'd recommend the Edge browser. Lets you sign in with your Glow account, lets you save passwords in the browser, lets you, you know, access Immersive Reader, share your bookmarks and sync them on different devices. So I'd recommend Edge as your iPad browser of choice, I think, for working with 365. But because it's in the browser, that means, of course, that you can access everything just through the web browser. Now, that comes with benefits when you think about it, because you're only having to sign in once. So your process on the iPad then would be to go to Safari or Edge or Chrome, whatever browser you've got, and then just to go to sign into Glow, so maybe to go to the RM Unified Glow login, or just to, you know, go to search and just search Office 365 login, and at that point you sign in with your Glow account. You'll get taken through RM Unify, of course. If you're using Glow, I understand people on the call might not be using Glow. You could have your own tenancy in your school or local authority. For the most part, I think in Scotland we will be using Glow, so I'll make a lot of references to Glow as we go through. So yeah, you could just sign in online, and when you do, you will find that many of the apps will work just as they do on a laptop. In fact, some of them work slightly better. So some of even the mobile views have started to integrate mobile devices. More on that later. I'm talking mainly about Sway. But the great thing is that you sign in once and then you've got the same access through the waffle in the top left-hand side, or, you know, through the drop-down menu on the left there. You can navigate all the apps there. Some of them will work great. Some of them will work better in an app. The good thing is, in an iOS app, I mean, the good thing is that you will be prompted if there is an app available. So this might be actually a good way to start, to go to the browser, to log into Office 365, as you would on a laptop, online, office.com, log in there. If you do that, then if it won't work on the web browser, Teams doesn't. If it won't work on the web browser, then it will tell you, and it will say download the app, and it will take you to the App Store to download. Caveat: remember, different local authorities have got different ways of getting apps. So yeah, in terms of a kind of personal device, you would be taken to the App Store, you would download the app, and then you're away. You know, you're using the iOS app. So I think there's a notification for you. I forgot about this slide. There's a notification for you. So this was me accessing on the iPad PowerPoint, and you can see that at the top there's a little notification that says get one app for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and then there's the link to download it in the iOS App Store. So that's an example of a prompt. Works fine. I mean, you could use PowerPoint just like that, but actually you're going to get increased functionality and better functionality for the iPad if you use the mobile app. More on Office later. So you do get individual apps, but we'll talk about Office just in a bit. So that's an example of that kind of notification. I mentioned earlier, Teams doesn't work in the browser. You need the app. If you've found that it works in the browser on an iPad somehow, maybe something I'm doing wrong, but I tried 3 different browsers, wouldn't work in any. So the conclusion I came to was that Teams will only work in the mobile app. So you'll be prompted. Again, there's no, you can't really go wrong. If you go to Teams through the browser, you'll be given this message saying, uh-oh, this doesn't work. And you'll be prompted to download the app. Again, just bear in mind that different schools, different local authorities will have different processes for app deployment and management. So, you obviously have to bear that in mind. However, it will force you, there's nothing to fear here if you go through the web browser first. You will be prompted and you will be supported. And I didn't find any issues with that in the testing that I did to prepare for this session. So when we're talking about the browser, this is what you see. It's very similar. This is me just accessing the browser version of Office 365, like I would on a desktop computer in school or a laptop. This is what you see, and you've got the familiar waffle. You've got the drop down there, and you can navigate through all the apps that will work fine on the browser on an iPad. I've got one other screenshot for you here just to show you the experience, illustrate this point a bit more, mobile first. And I think this is a really interesting one actually, because look at what the notification says there. So this is me in OneDrive. I was in OneDrive, I was online, using the iPad, using Edge browser, I believe. And OneDrive would have worked fine. It was there, it would have worked great. However, I'm getting a warning, well, not a warning, I'm getting a recommendation, I suppose, a prompt. And it says we've got an app for this, but look at what it points out. Offline access for files and folders. You're not going to get that on the browser. You can scan any receipt, document, or whiteboard. You're not going to get that on the browser because it needs a camera. It needs the mobile app. And highlight and markup, and that's when we're talking about inking. So these 3 things that we've already highlighted as being a kind of core focus for today's session, being brought to our attention there, highlighted, flagged up with the prompt. So I think, you're in safe hands here. If there is a better experience to be had using an app, Microsoft's going to tell you. There will be a notification in the online browser-based app experience that says, look, you're using an iPad, we've got a better app for you. On a personal device, just seeing what they're capable of, you'll always be able to sign in with your Microsoft account, your Glow account. So you'll always be able to see what is available in Glow or in your tenancy. When I say tenancy, that's your version of Office 365 for your school, for your local authority. Most schools using Glow, but not everyone. So just be aware of that. One of the big ones that doesn't have a mobile app is Sway. So there's no mobile app for Sway. However, the web version of Sway is really good, and we're going to look at that just in a little bit, and it does include some mobile functions as well. So, things like camera, all that good stuff. So more on that later, but I'd recommend playing around with the mobile apps, and in doing that, there's a handy little kind of tip in the next section, you can just go to the App Store or whatever download system your LA uses, and you can probably search for apps and you can probably download them. So this is a screenshot from the actual iOS Apple App Store, and all I did was search Microsoft, and it gave me all of the apps that are developed by Microsoft and therefore will work predominantly with my Office 365 account. So you'll see on that screenshot that we have an app for Word, we have an app for PowerPoint, we have an app for Excel, and we have one for OneDrive. And it used to be the case that you needed all those individual apps. But fairly recently, I can't remember exactly when, 2019, maybe 20, Microsoft released a kind of hybrid app. I don't know, is that even a thing, a hybrid app? But they've released a new app called Office. And in some ways, that's not that difficult to get your head around, is it? So, you know, Office as an app. We always used to buy Office as a big pile of CD-ROMs. And that came with PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and that was part of the package. And in a way, this app is the same. So this is how it's kind of summed up. It's all about productivity. So, you know, it's your go-to productivity app. When you think about productivity, you've got one place to go, one button to press, and you can choose whether you want to create a PowerPoint in Excel, you know, share something in OneDrive, take a photo, add it. It's really quick. And it's that kind of workflow that I'm most interested in, I think, in terms of this whole ongoing development of iOS with Office 365. So yeah, it's uniquely mobile. So it brings in those mobile experiences that we keep referring to, and it takes those kind of common tasks like, you know, creating and signing PDFs, like just even signing a PDF. Think how hard that would have been on a laptop. Tricky task. I've done things in the past like write it on paper, take a photo up. This is just so easy. Draw on the screen, sign, mark up, you know, create sticky notes, share them. It's these kind of mobile workflows that all come into one app. And let's just have a little look now about how that all works in terms of accounts. So, with all the mobile apps that we're going to look at today, the key thing is, and it's a bit of a pain the first time you have to do it, but you do need to sign into them all individually. You can't just like sign into the iPad in the lobby. You have to sign in individually to each app. But you do that and you're in. And yes, you might have to refresh that every so often. But generally, you sign in, you're in, you've got access to everything. So we need to sign in and tie our personal or work content from the cloud to that app. So the app won't know all we're doing is downloading an application. It doesn't know that it's us that's done it. It doesn't know that it's our account, it's our OneDrive. We have to tell it that. We have to input our username and password, and we have to sign in to the individual app. There's a huge plus point though, and that is that you can switch between accounts. It's beautiful. So you sign in, but you can add another account and you can kind of jump between them. Private Hotmail, you could have that on your device as well. I have multiple different Office 365 accounts. So I have a Tablet Academy one, and I have my Glow account. So I'm going to just show you how that all works. So here we have a screenshot of my account. This is my Glow account. So you'll see on if we draw your attention here to the left-hand side menu, you'll see that I've got my username and profile picture at the top. If you haven't set a profile picture, I'd really recommend that you do. Just helps you identify your different accounts, and it's especially useful on these mobile devices. So that's my Glow account. You can see that it is ticked, but underneath, if we go to where it says accounts and organizations, which is slightly further down that left column, you'll notice there that Glow Scotland is highlighted, so I'm in with my Glow account. But underneath that, you can see Tablet Academy Limited, and I've got a little notification there I've missed. Not good enough, Pam. And then you can see that I've also got a Microsoft guest account. And that's because we are accessing, because we're working with Microsoft, we're accessing their Microsoft tenancy, and we're able to kind of jump and switch between them. So that's really, really useful. And again, I've tested it with different accounts, seems to work fine. I'll just skip on. As we look to the next slide, you'll see that I'm in a different account. This is me and my, this is Teams, by the way. This should have mentioned that. This is Microsoft Teams we're using here to show you, and I'm in dark mode. Yeah, it was night time when I was doing it, it went to dark mode. So that's why it's black. So in this Teams screenshot here, you'll see I'm in Glow. But then if I go to the next screenshot, I'm still in Teams, but I'm in a quieter team. I've not got that much going on there. And then I go to my really busy team, my Tablet Academy one, and I was able just to switch between those really easily, one click, and I'm away. So really good experience doing that, really seamless, and you're able to access all your team's stuff, all your assignments, all your calendars, all your chats, just like within seconds. And one of the first things that I want to have a go with today is Lens. So we've got the iPad up and running. What we have in front of us here is a beautiful edition of Wired from, I don't know when. Wired's one of my favourite magazines. And what we're going to do is we're just going to scan that. So now that I've confirmed that, I just want to go show you the little menu that pops up in Lens on the right hand side, because this is where I get really genuinely excited. So what you'll notice here is that I can use the inking functionality direct from that little menu. So I'm now on my Apple Pencil and I can start to draw attention to things and just, you know, I mean, I could contribute to this drawing quite nicely there. But, you know, I'm using the inking functionality. I can highlight things. This could very easily be a poem that I've, you know, done a scan of. I used to be an English teacher at one point in my life. I would have highlighted similes and metaphors and imagery. I'm sure you will all have your own classroom experience to bring to this and what you would use that for. You got different coloured pens as well. I mean, you could get really creative with your inking. But once you've done that, then that's now a digital file complete with the inking, and that can be shared back to pupils for feedback on a piece of work. It can be, you know, saved into an evidence folder for that pupil if you're gathering evidence of their learning. Could be really powerful in the primary for gathering attainment evidence and achievement evidence. And just marking it up and sharing it into one of the suites, one of the tools. One of the things, though, that I think is just so exciting about this, and I hope it's going to work. It doesn't work all the time, but if we click, no, not there. If we click Done, then you'll notice that I've got another little menu pop up. So this is where we would export it. This is where we would share it. But the thing that excited me more than anything was that I've taken this Wired magazine from, you know, 10 years ago. I've taken a photo of it. It's now digital. I've inked on top of it. And what I can do, hopefully, is open Immersive Reader and bring the benefits of, well, it's artificial intelligence here, isn't it? We're scanning it, we're picking it up, we're converting it into actual words from a picture, from a scan of a magazine. And fingers crossed, unbelievable. We've got this now in Immersive Reader, so we can, you know, play it. You won't be able to hear that, and we can obviously use the reading preferences, use the filters for, you know, people who need the. Oh, it's not actually. Let me choose the filter. Oh, it's a bit delayed. It is now. So yeah, that whole, think about what we just did there. Super powerful. An Office Lens bringing that to the table.